Hi everyone, welcome back to the High Noon YouTube channel. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to be sharing about how porn can affect your life. This is something that I've been through and I've experienced a lot over the last, 10 plus years of my life, and really starting to work on it, especially when I was 16, 17 years old and moving up to where I am now. I can really see and realize how much it hits. And it becomes really prevalent when I start working on it and I start trying to take it out of my life and phase it out, and I'm able to take some good amount of time away from it. Whenever I relapse and I go back to it, it really shows me significant impact on how it's affected me and things that I really don't want to be part of my life. So I want to share two realms of that to kind of put it into perspective and make it real. That you can feel it, because this is a really significant and a really important thing that everyone can relate to. So this is my personal experience, and I hope that you can relate and understand where I'm coming from. So the first area is publicly. So my first thing that I want to share about is just the way that you relate with people in your life. I always find that when I'm watching porn, if I watch porn the night before, and I generally feel pretty rough about it. I watch porn, I finish, and then I'm not feeling really up on top of the world. I'm feeling down. I'm in my head. It's difficult. And when I go out the next day, if I'm on the subway system and I'm busing to work and I look at people, especially women, it hits me hard. I've got all these thoughts passing through my head, and oftentimes it can get sexual. It can remind me of things that I've seen while watching porn or looking at videos that are just arousing me, and it doesn't put a good view in my head. It puts me down. It makes me not want to be in a public setting. When I go to work, I don't want to be at work. Especially me personally, I work with children, and it's not a good headspace to be in when I'm working with such a young and such a pure and beautiful population, and I've got all of these other things behind the scenes going on. It can get really tough, and there's no one telling me that it needs to be that way. That's just an internal feeling that I'm going through, and it doesn't feel great. Others can even feel that when I'm down, especially if it's a relapse, of continual relapses. Others can experience the way that I'm feeling, and they want to help me, and it's hard for me to let them in that moment. And so it takes a lot of work to just be able to know how to let people in and give me the support and experience the love that I'm craving and the interactions that I'm craving that I'm trying to get out of porn. So that first one really is just the relations that I'm able to have with different people. The second one, I touched on it, but it's also just views of women, the thoughts that pass through my head. Porn is me just staring at videos of people having physical sexual relationship or doing something physical that I may be craving and desiring to have in my future, but I'm not experiencing, and I'm getting it in a different way. And when I'm just watching that, it's a complete relationship where I'm just seeing it, I'm taking it, and I'm giving nothing back. And when I go out into the world, that's still in my head, especially in that next day. And if I'm not doing anything to really work through those feelings, then that's constantly in my head. And then the way that I see women and the way that I'm being able to focus, it's so much harder to see them for who they are and the beauty that's within, because I've got all this other stuff up in here that's blocking me from getting there. And it's not what I envision for my life. It's not the way I envision wanting to relate with women. I want to treat them as wonderful, beautiful people that I can be freely expressing with, that I can freely have give and take with. Especially when it's going to become my partner, I want to be able to love her as God's creation, not as someone that I'm just taking from and just hoping to have experiences with. I want it to be deeper than that. Having porn as something that's kind of revolving around that life takes away that element of complete focus and service, and it just reverts it to something a lot more selfish and hard to get through. So that's a more of a public aspect. And then really relating with that are aspects that make that public part so difficult, which is how it's personally making me feel. My energy level is shot. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to go to sleep, because oftentimes I'm watching it to avoid going to sleep, avoid going to the next day, which is something in and of itself that I need to focus on. Why don't I want to go to sleep? What am I doing that's making me want to revert to porn in that moment? That's a whole nother topic, but if it's something that happens, I'm just tired. I'm down. I feel something is wrong and off inside of me, and I have to do something to get through it. And it's a challenge for myself, and it's a challenge to be able to work through. So often I can recognize, especially when I'm able to reflect about it later, I can recognize I'm just craving something to interact with others or to have some form of joy and satisfaction in that moment. And oftentimes I'm slipping when it comes to I'm bored, or I'm lonely, or I'm stressed, or I'm feeling all these different emotions that I don't like. And so instead of taking them head on, I'm reverting back to something that's giving me a pass. And it doesn't help me, because then I have all the different feelings and regrets that I have from that, on top of all the things that I tried to ignore. And that's why it's a rabbit hole that gets me to my final point. It just makes me want to go back, and it urges me to continue watching the next day and the day after. And I have to really have a strong motivation and a strong support system to stop and pause and reflect and say, I don't want to go back to this. I want something higher for myself. I want something stronger. I want to relate with others in a really pure and a powerful way. That urge is real, and that urge is strong. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of motivation and a lot of support and a vision for what you want in your life to be able to take that, put those feelings to the side, and get somebody to help you clean it up. It's difficult to do on our own. That's why we have wonderful people in our life. That's why porn is something we go to when we have lonely feelings very often. Having people who can help us stay away from that is something really important to get over that urge to just go back. These 4 points, they really connect all together because they play in a big cycle of those urges to go back, make me feel more tired, make me ignore what my body and my life and my emotions, my spirit is really needing. And that blockage is stopping me from relating with the people who can help me get through those blocks. So it's a big relationship. And really, the most important thing is being able to just stop and feel, what do I want and need in this moment? And sometimes it's hard to see in the moment, and sometimes it takes a retrospective looking after, reflecting after, taking that time to really think and feel, and maybe even just share and reflect with others who can empathize and feel what you're going through and want to be there for you. So those are just different ways that it impacts. And I hope it can bring some light, and it can make you see where you're at, and maybe you'll even be able to take some time to reflect and see, what am I really craving? I'm in a time of trigger, and what can I do about that for the future that can bring me closer to who I want to be? So if you want any support in doing that, you can always take the Ascend course that High Noon offers, and it's a 90-day challenge. It's full of people who are in the same shoes of wanting to get better, maybe not knowing what to do, maybe they do know what they need and they just need support getting there. There's a lot of different spectrums on it, but there's people who are offering support, and you can take that program if you check out the links that we've got somewhere posted on this page, on this video, maybe in the link down in the description. You can check that and get the support that I'd love for you to have. And we want to really just be able to create a world where people can feel and experience and give love to the people that they're interacting with and to themselves. And that's 2 relationships that are really important to cultivate. And I hope this was able to help you get whatever you needed out of it. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.